Hello, my name is Glenn. This is Glenn's Musings. It's mostly going to be Baha'i topics. I may throw one or two non-Baha'i topics in there, but they'll still probably be my belief in the Baha'i faith that will be part of what is relevant in that. So if you've never heard of the Baha'i faith, it's a relatively newer religion. It's from the 1844. Um, was when the Bab declared that he was the return of Muhammad, but he said that he was preparing the way for someone greater, and that person he was preparing the way for was Baha'u'llah. And then we have a few other of Baha'u'llah's children and grandchildren that also created some of the writings for the Baha'i faith, and now we have a governing body that we turn to. So many Baha'is will write them and ask them about topics that aren't expressly stated in the writings to find the most current. So as this is my introduction, I was born a Mormon. I did not like the teaching that God dyed the skin was the sign of Abel that God put upon him so people would recognize the evil. You're basically saying all black people are evil. That never sat well with me because God said that all mankind was created equal and wonderfully. God loves all of us. There isn't one group set aside because their ancestors had turned from God. God would never punish you for the actions of your parents. Only for your own actions do you get punishment. It doesn't keep you out of heaven, but if you truly are a selfish person, that can hinder your growth spiritually, which limits the amount that you can see and conceive of heaven. So again, I'll mostly be doing Baha'i topics. So one of my favorite Baha'i topics that is written by Abdul Baha. He wrote about a concept that life goes down and it comes up, and it goes down and comes up, and it just always does that. It's never always a good world. Sometimes you get suffering, and sometimes you get happy good days. So if you allow that to guide you, then you're going to be happy at times and sad at times. So what Abdul Baha said, instead of that, just be happy. When I read that passage, it was so bewildering to me. I didn't see how that was even a possibility. It made no sense to me because I just couldn't come to terms with it for a long time. But I tried to apply it. That whole adage, fake it till you make it. So I just kept trying to do it. And then before too long, it took a year or two. So it was a while. I then started to do that. I was happy all the time. So it didn't matter what happened in my life. Even when I got cancer, I was like, what can you do? I still feel that way. Because after all, when you're facing a terminal illness, as I am, eventually most people come to accept it. But if by learning that you can just be happy all the time, you can accept it from day one, I advise you to do that. Christ said similar things. So now another Baha'i topic is called progressive revelation. So Why have there been more than one God, manifestation of God? It's like that. Shouldn't one be all that was necessary? But the thing is, it wasn't their capacity that changed. It was our capacity that changed. As our capacity grew, God sent new messengers with the updated for our new capacity. For as an example, in Baha'u'llah, he forbid clergy because the power that you give to clergy can sometimes, as power sometimes does, you know, corrupt people. By not having clergy, each Baha'i reads the writings on their own because we can. But in the previous time, that wasn't an option. People didn't have the educational capacity or time. They were too busy farming to feed their family. But today we have that time and that capacity that virtually all of humanity can read for themselves the writings and find the meaning for themselves. And there are other things like the world versus just a village. You know, when you look at Jesus, he moved from Moses's just the village to the kingdom, and then Muhammad became the empire, and Baha'u'llah became all of the world. And progressive revelation is often described by one of the examples often used in the writings is in school. In school, when you're in kindergarten, you get taught this one level, but the teacher went to the same school, required the same school level that the sixth grade teacher was required to have. They both went to college and both at least had a bachelor's degree before they could teach either of those grades. So their knowledge was the same, or potentially the same, but they taught different things. You know, in kindergarten, they started off with numbers and letters and then a little bit of reading now. I know they didn't used to do that, but they do it now. And then later on, you know, you learn algebra, and eventually you'll learn calculus if you go far enough. But it wasn't like the guy teaching you calculus in high school. More likely, all he had was a bachelor's of education. The same as that kindergarten teacher. They may have focused a little differently in some of the classes they took in college, but their capacities aren't any different. Another way that Baha'u'llah describes the concept of progressive revelation is that of the sunrise. Every day the sun moves the position it's rising. You know, the first day it comes, you know, in springtime it's a due east, and then it slowly moves across what's called the ecliptic, and it just keeps moving till in the fall it's due west. But it's the same sun. It's not like suddenly a new sun rises every day. It's the same sun. So it's the same divine source every day. Thanks for watching to the end. I'm going to say a prayer. I'm going to look one up. I've chosen a prayer for healing. We can all use a little bit of healing. We always have issues while we're on this plane. O thou art He, my God, through whose names the sick are healed, and the ailing are restored, and the thirsty are given drink, and the sore are vexed are tranquilized, and the wayward are guided, and the abased are exalted, the poor are enriched, the ignorant are uplifted through thy name, God, created thee, stirred up. Sorry, I got lost. Creating things were stirred up, and the heaven spread, the earth established, and the clouds were raised and made to rain upon the earth. This verily is a token of grace unto all thy creatures. I implore thee, therefore, by thy name, through which thou didst manifest the Godhead, didst thy cause above all creation, and by thy most exalted and most august attributes, and all the virtues therein transcend, and the well-being, health guard him. But, O my God, beloved, from every affection and disorder, whatsoever obnoxiousness unto thee, God, the good of this world and of the next, the good of the former and of the later generations. Thy mighty are wisdom, verily equal to unto this. Baha'u'llah. Thank you for staying to the end. I wish you well. And if you are sick, I hope that prayer helps you out. It helped me out. I've got multiple brain tumors, which is ironic. Because after all, it's what gave me the time to do this writing.